First question was a bit of a trick question. Well done to Jenna. I know you noticed that as well, as you said straight away, so it's a trick question. It says there's 10 beads, 2 are red, so that's 2, 3 are blue, that's 5 in total, and then 5 are yellow. So that comes to total 10. So how many are white? Well, 0. If you wrote 0 out of 10, absolutely fine. As long as you saw the 0 there, you got what was called your accuracy mark there. Okay? Either red or yellow is only worth 2 marks. So either red or yellow, that was 2 reds, 5 yellows. So that's a total of 7 out of 10. So you've got 1 mark for saying 7 out of 10 or anything equivalent. So 0.7 would have been fine as well. The square numbers, a few of you asking us what the square numbers are. The square numbers are numbers times by themselves. So like 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. Why didn't I highlight these ones here?
Because they will be on a dice.
Excellent. These aren't on a dice. The dice goes up to 6. I wrote 2 out of 6. As long as you write the 2 and the 6, you'll get a mark for each one of them. Okay? If you cancel that down to a third, fantastic. It didn't say you need to do that anywhere, so don't feel you have to do it. You don't need to do it. You got the mark for that. If you cancel it down wrong, you'll lose a mark. The next one says, find the missing probability. It's told us that we have 6 different colours. It's given us 5, and then I knew all probabilities add up to 1. So I did 1, take away the sum of all the others. I added up all the other ones, which came to like 0.91, and I did 1 take away that, and it gave me 0.09. All of that went in my calculator. I didn't do any of that in my head. And the last one, I think, is the sneakiest one. It says, which colour is the mode? Has anyone got an answer for that? So, why red?
Because it's the highest number.
Fantastic. I felt that was the sneakiest question in here. I've written a massive solution. You don't need to. As long as you said red, you would have got the mark. That's why I've marked it by there and said A1. Mode means most common, and red has the highest frequency. That means it's the most likely to occur. Hence, it's the mode. I didn't think it was obvious, but if we've got every single one of those marks so far, we're on 7 marks already. We only need 23 to get a C on this paper. Okay? Okay, so I've highlighted the important information, or certainly what I think is important, which is the quarterly standing charge at 7.45. That means I'm going to add that on eventually. And then they tried to trick me by saying about 93 pence per cubic metre. This is in pence, this is in pounds. They need to be in the same level, or the same unit of money. So I've changed it into pence, but with a pound sign in front of it. So I've done the same by here. Okay? Also, I'd be pretty surprised if I had a bill come through for a certain amount of pence. It says calculate the quarterly bill for a household using 46 cubic metres of water. So the first 25 are going to cost me 93p each. So I need to do somewhere 25 times the 93. Okay? Then I'm going to do 46 take away 25. I'm taking away that 25 because I've already paid for it by here. So 46 take away 25 is 21. That's 21 units, which are charged at £1.32 per unit. Okay? So the calculations you need to do, if you see these anyway, you get 1 for doing 46 take away 25 to find the remaining being 21. 25 times 93p gets you 1 mark, a method mark. The 21 times by the £1.32 gets you another mark. And then when you add them together, don't forget the charge. That charge needs to come on here, and all of this should be going into my calculator. Okay, as you can see, I haven't actually lined up the decimal points there because I was able to use my calculator. Now, to get my QWC, the 2 marks, I made sure I had pound signs on everything. That gets one of them. And I put little arrows just explaining what I've done. I said charge gets added to the bill. The total cost of the bill, that gets me the 2 out of 2 marks of QWC. Okay then, so it says another water company has this tariff that they charge. So they charge £4 per quarter. First 10 cubic metres charged at £1.50 per cubic metre. All further water charged at £2 per cubic metre. And it says, work out an expression for the quarterly bill for a customer who uses X cubic metres of water where X is greater than 10. Now, to begin with, I cannot deal myself, some people can, I can't myself, think of it as a letter to begin with. I have to think of a number that satisfies this. So what's a number that is bigger than 10? I chose 11, but you could have chosen any number that is bigger than 10. Okay? Now, if it was 11, I would have to pay that £4 charge. I would have to pay 10 lots of £1.50 because I've used more than 10 cubic metres. And then, whatever's left, that 11, take away 10 because I've already paid for those first 10, times by the £2. Okay? Now, you won't get any marks for that because it's not doing what it asked me to do. But all I need to do now to solve this is change the 11 with X. So that £4, that hasn't got 11 in it, so that £4 remains. I have to pay the £4 charge. That 10 times £1.50, that becomes 15 quid, because that's what 10 times £1.50 is. And then this 11 take away 10 becomes x take away 10 times by 2. Now if you want to, come and expand that as a bracket the way around here. This thing here is the same as this thing here. They are one and the same thing. I've just moved them times 2 to the front instead. So then that 2 times is by the x and that 2 times by the 10 to give me 2x minus 20. So then by here we'd have 4 plus 15 plus 2 take away 20, and then 4 plus 15 minus 20 comes to minus 1, and the 2x remains as just 2x. Okay? What we thought was quite doable marks was adding the £4 charge and doing 10 times 150. You would have got 2 marks for doing that, 1 for working that bit out and 1 for adding them together. You may have lost this one and you may have lost this one. So 2 quite doable marks. Here, rule of thumb, we tend to find questions with a lot of text, we tend to not like them. You do have to read it, try and work out what's going on. It says their meter reading in cubic meters is 1678 and then it's 1702. They recycle 8 cubic meters of water used between this time. Find the percentage of water that they recycled in that quarter. Your first mark will come in from doing 1702 take away 1678 is 24 units. If you don't write units, you won't lose a mark there. I'm just saying what that 24 is. It's not a QWC question. I don't need to write down units, but I have just to explain what it is. That's how many units they've used. How many units they recycle? 8. Okay, so they recycled 8 out of 24. Okay, 8 out of 24, but because it wants it as a percentage, I need to multiply that by 100. My calculator gave me the answer 33.3 with a dot on its head, so I didn't round this answer, I just wrote what exactly was on my calculator display, and I got the third and final mark. So we got 1 for working out 24, 1 for doing 8 out of 24, that gets a mark, then times it by 100 gives me this answer here. So 3 quite nice marks when you get a bit practice at them, but at first case scenario, you would have looked at it and thought, don't know how to do it. With this question down here then, what you needed to do to begin with was you needed to expand this bracket here. Okay, so that 5 had to multiply the 2x, that 5 had to multiply the minus 7. So if you got 10x minus 35, well done, you've got a method mark straight away. You then need to solve the equation. Now, as we saw yesterday, there are multiple ways that you can solve this equation. You can put the arrow down and add 35 to each side. That was the way that some of us did it. And the other way some of us did it was we took the minus 35 over and it became a plus 35. Either way, your next line should be 10x equals 110. You get a mark for that line, and then dividing both sides by 10, or bringing the 10 across as a divide by 10, x equals 11, got you your third mark. Now, if you had got every single mark up to this point, you have already got your C. So, the second one here, you need to expand. Now, you had to be very careful. This was minus 3 times by 4x, so that became minus 12x, but it was minus 3 times minus 1, which is a plus 3. If you missed the plus, you would have lost a mark, okay? You will get a mark for saying minus 5x, that gets you a mark, and you'll get a mark for saying plus 3. It's 1 for each of those, okay? So we're now on 25 marks at the end of this page, if we haven't dropped anything. But if you wanted to drop yourself 2 marks from that previous question, you're now on the 23, you're now getting your C grades. Only just, but you're already there. At the board there, we've got the scatters. Like I said, you have to plot all 10 correctly to get the 2 marks. Not 10 marks, it'd be nice for 10, wouldn't it? 6, if you get 6 of them, you will get 1 mark, okay? The examiner will just have like a piece of tracing paper with the correct answer on it, hover it over your sheet and see if they're in the right place, and if they're not, you won't get the full marks, okay? Underneath it here, it says write down the age and the price of the oldest chair. So make sure you do what it says. Oldest chair, I'm looking at the years, so the biggest number, 80 years is the biggest number, so 80 years, 40, and again, make sure you put the right ones in the right places. I've seen people lose 2 marks for accidentally putting them the wrong way round. If you're at 40 and 80, it's wrong, change it. And what type of correlation is that? Excellent, there's no correlation. Negative correlation would come down a diagonal line like this, and these are just scattered everywhere, so we call that no correlation. And to say there's no correlation, we need to just say points are scattered all over. That will get us a mark. Okay? We are now looking at 30 marks. We need 8 more to get to a B. You needed to create a midpoint column. That's good, isn't it, Will? The midpoint of 50 to 100 is 75. If you're ever unsure how to create that 75 in there, you pick these two numbers here, you add them together, so 100 plus, it didn't need to be this big, but it is, 100 plus the 150, and then you divide that answer by 2, and it will tell you the number in the middle, so it will tell you that it's 125 there. If I want to work out the 75, I would have done 50 at 100, divide it by 2. Okay? Whenever you do the midpoint, what we're going to be doing next week is we're going to grey out underneath it so we don't accidentally add it up. Okay? You do add up the number of tables. You do add up your new column, which is midpoint times frequency. You don't add up the midpoints. If you add that up, you'll lose 2 marks. You'll accidentally divide by it. Okay? Your mean should have been 2,400 divided by 20. I've cancelled 0 top and bottom, but obviously you could put that straight into your calculator to get 1 mark. Okay? And then your final mark came in for saying 120. Okay? Very, very quickly, the final answer. Has anyone had a go at it, miss, that you know of?
These guys will do.
I will show the answer for that. The answer should have been that one there, £786.24. If you got those 4 marks, you would now be on a B grade if you'd answered every single mark correctly.